Hello there, welcome back. Stories to Live By, and I'm Miss Wagner, inspired by my students to do this. In today's story, this is a beautiful story. It's actually a Christmas story, but no matter what time of year it is, it's a beautiful story, and I'm sure that in December you will be sharing this story with your loved ones. I first heard this story, I actually saw it on an Dragnet show old Dragnet show from the 60s, television show. And the story is a true story, as most of my stories are. And it takes place in East Los Angeles. And right around Christmas time. And of course, you know how the churches are at Christmas time, they're always filled to capacity. And so the masses went on. They had God knows how many masses for Christmas Day. And then when the priest was closing up the church at the end of the day, he went over to where they had the nativity, and he noticed that the statue of the baby Jesus was missing. You know, they had Mother Mary and Joseph, and then they had a statue of the, the cows and the sheep, but the statue of the baby Jesus was missing. And he could not figure out why somebody would take that statue. So he called the police, and the police came, and he said to the police, he said, he goes, it really doesn't have a lot of financial value, but it's very, very important to the parishioners here, and it's very, very important. It's part of our nativity scene. And so the police asked if there's anybody who would want to take it. They couldn't understand why somebody would want to take it. But the police said that what they would do is they would go out and they would search, and they would, question people in the neighborhood to see if they knew anything about a statue. So the police did their rounds, and they went out to in the neighborhood, knocked on doors, asked if anybody had seen the statue. Nobody knew what happened to the statue. It was like it was a mystery. And so they called up the pastor, and they said, we're really having problems. We're not able to find out where this statue went. But they kept on looking. And so then it came to the end of the week, and the police officers went back to the pastor, and they were in the church. And the police officer said, we knocked on doors and we called people and we looked through the area and we could not find this statue. We're very sorry. And at that point, the doors to the church opened up, and a little boy came in with a red wagon, and he strolled down the center aisle of the church. And when he got to the altar where the police officers and the pastor were standing, inside the red wagon was the statue of the baby Jesus. And so the police officer looked at the little boy and said, where did you find the statue? We've been looking all over for it. And the little boy looked at him and he said, oh, I didn't find it. I took it. And so the pastor looked at him and he said, why would you take the statue of the baby Jesus? And so the little boy looked at the pastor and he said, I prayed to God that I would get a red wagon for Christmas. And I promised God that if I got a red wagon, I would give the baby Jesus a ride in it. So he said, I got my red wagon, and I came here to the church, and I got the statue of the baby Jesus, and I've been giving him a ride all week. So that's a sweet story. So a lot of times we don't have to give people material things, but sometimes just a gesture from our heart is all that God's looking for. And that's a story to live by. I'll see you again next time with another great one.